A lot of my friends are mad at Time Magazine for choosing Trump as the person of the year, and I'm going to tell you why they're wrong, respectfully, and what this actually means. Let me give you some historical context. We'll refer back to Time Magazine's Person of the Year from 1938. I'm going to drop a few of the words as I read some of these sections because the algorithm doesn't like it and it might suppress the content. But I think that you'll know who Time Magazine's Person of the Year in 1938 was if you don't already know. So, the opening paragraph. The greatest single news event of 1938 took place on September 29 when four statesmen met in Munich to redraw the map of Europe. The three visiting statesmen at that historic conference were Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain of Great Britain, the Premier of France, the Dictator of Italy, but by all odds, the dominating figure in Munich was the German host. Now, I don't want you to misinterpret that. That is not a complimentary paragraph. That is not an opening to talk about a hero or a good person. It is simply to acknowledge the influence that one man has had on the world in that particular year. It is not a good influence. Time Magazine continues saying, leader of the German people, commander-in-chief of the German Army, Navy, and Air Force, Chancellor, this person reaped on that day at Munich the harvest of an audacious, defiant, ruthless foreign policy he had pursued for 5.5 years. He had torn the Treaty of Versailles to shreds. He had rearmed Germany to the teeth, or as close to the teeth as he was able. He had stolen Austria before the eyes of a horrified and apparently impotent world. The impotence of people trying to stand against Donald Trump is one of the things that are going to be remembered about 2024. But when the history books are written, it's going to be his name that is referenced the most. And that's not a good thing. He's going to be referenced in history the same way that Time Magazine's Person of the Year from 1938 is. Later on in this profile, it continues. But the figure of this person strode over a cringing Europe with all of the swagger of a conqueror. Not the mere fact that this person brought 10,500,000 more people under his absolute rule made him the man of 1938. Japan during the same time added tens of millions of Chinese to her empire. More significant was the fact that this person became in 1938 the greatest threatening force that the democratic, freedom-loving world faces today. So you can be mad that Donald Trump has been chosen as Time Magazine's Person of the Year, but you should not be mad at Time Magazine. They have recognized the significance of this single individual, placing into the historical context of who has been chosen with that label before. Again, this is not an honor. It is a recognition of reality. We cannot live in denial right now. We must recognize the problem so that we can work towards solutions. We cannot live in denial. Again, some additional historical parallels. More from this article from the Man of the Year 1938. His political career began in 1919 when he became member number 7 of the midget German Labor Party. Discovering his powers of oratory, this person soon became the party's leader and changed its name to the National Socialist German Labor Party. He wrote its anti-Semitic, anti-democratic, authoritarian program. The party's first mass meeting took place in Munich in 1920. The leader intended to participate in a monarchist attempt to seize power a month later, but for this abortive push, this person arrived too late. An even less successful National Socialist attempted the famed Munich beer hall push of 1923, and it provided the party with dead martyrs. It landed this person in jail. His incarceration gave him the time to write the first volume of his most famous book, now a must on every German bookshelf. Before the Person of the Year of Time Magazine from 1938 rose to his supreme level of power, he had already attempted a coup, a push, to try to take Germany by force, take over the government, end democracy. It took him 10 years before he was able to actually consolidate power and use the levers of democracy to be legitimately elected before he could end democracy for Germany. So again, you can be mad that Donald Trump has been chosen as Time Magazine's Person of the Year, but you shouldn't be mad at Time Magazine. You should be mad at the reality that we unfortunately live in. This is simply just a recognition of that reality. And hopefully, for people who've been sitting on the sidelines, who've been uninterested in protecting our democracy, who've been unconcerned, this serves as a bit of a wake-up call. Again, the Person of the Year Time Magazine article from 1938 describing this German person, there is a lot of historical parallels. You should read it yourself. And if you've got MAGA or Trump people on Facebook who are bragging about this honor of Trump being named the Person of the Year by Time Magazine, just drop the link and say, hey, you should read this 1938 version.